Lewis Hamilton just butted heads with George Russell. Sunday's race ended badly for Mercedes as they saw their drivers collide with one another in a first corner incident, which ultimately resulted in the 7-time world champion retiring during the opening lap of the Qatar Grand Prix. Want to know what happened? You clicked on the right video to find out. George began the race from the front row alongside pole sitter Max Verstappen, both equipped with medium tyres, while Lewis Hamilton, on soft tyres, lined up in third position on the grid. In the intense battle for position as Russell and Verstappen engaged in a duel going into turn 1, Hamilton, known for his quick starts, tried to make his way around both of them by taking the outside line. However, this move resulted in contact with Russell, who found himself sandwiched between his teammate and the Red Bull car. Hamilton found himself off track in the gravel with significant damage to his right rear tyre after the incident, expressing his frustration over the radio, initially blaming Russell for the collision. Russell, on the other hand, managed to carry on with the race. However, when Hamilton returned to the pit lane, a journey that involved him walking across the track, leading to a subsequent reprimand and fine, his perspective on the incident appeared to evolve slightly. Hamilton, who emerged victorious in the previous and sole Qatar Grand Prix held in 2021, remarked on the incident, saying, "Obviously gutting. Massive apologies to everyone back at the factory. I think it was probably just a racing incident. I take full responsibility for it. I don't think George had anywhere to go. In the heat of the moment, I didn't really understand what happened. I just obviously felt the tap from behind. But I don't think George probably had anywhere to go, and yeah, it's just one of those really unfortunate situations. I mean, I'm happy to take responsibility as the older one." Sharing his post-race thoughts on the incident, Russell, who had plenty of anger directed towards his legendary teammate, stated that, "I'm obviously bitterly disappointed with what happened at the start. It all happened so quick. I made a good start, Lewis made a good start, I was alongside Max, and next thing just got completely sandwiched. There was nowhere I could go. I felt so disappointed for us both because we spoke this morning. We knew we were going to work together, and we both said we both want to be standing on that podium. It doesn't matter what order, we're here for the team. I know there was nothing intentional both ways. I'm still glad we managed to finish ahead of Ferrari, get some more points on the board, and we had a fast race car, so we'll just take the positives. We have so much respect for one another. It's very difficult in these F1 cars to see when there's certain blind spots in the car. Of course, this should never happen. We'll talk and we'll go from there." Mercedes Communications Director Bradley Lord characterized the situation as the most unfortunate beginning, while providing the team's perspective on the events that transpired between their two drivers. He said, "We discussed it in the morning, so it was a scenario we'd been through, the different start tyre performance and things like that. I think in the moment they just all ran out of space. George obviously had nowhere to go and Lewis was trying to take his line. Unfortunately, these things can happen and you can't program everything, even with discussion beforehand. We'll talk about it afterwards as we do, go through it and learn what we can do to hopefully have it never happen again." Following the race, Lewis Hamilton appeared before the FIA stewards and expressed his apologies. In response, the stewards issued his first reprimand of the 2023 season along with a €50,000 fine, half of which is suspended for the remainder of the season. In their verdict, they stated, "After crashing out of the race in lap 1, the driver of car 44 abandoned his car in the gravel and ran back to the pits. He thereby crossed the track that was live at this time and reached the inside edge of the track just seconds before car 63 arrived at high speed after exiting the pits. He then continued to walk alongside the track until finally exiting the track. During the hearing, the driver of car 44 was very apologetic and realized that the situation could have been very dangerous for him as well as the drivers approaching. The stewards reinforced the fact that crossing a live track can cause extremely dangerous situations and the drivers have to be very cautious about it. The stewards opted not to pursue additional measures against the 7-time world champion regarding the accident itself. While they determined that Hamilton bore primary responsibility for the collision, they categorized it as a standard first-lap racing incident, a circumstance for which they tend to exercise greater leniency. Hamilton issued an apology to Russell for the collision, which he acknowledged was a result of him not leaving sufficient space while attempting to make a pass around the outside of his teammate. Taking to X, formerly known as Twitter, the 7-time world champion said, "I've watched the replay and it was 100% my fault. and I take full responsibility. Apologies to my team and to George. Despite the setback, Russell was able to recover by making a pit stop for fresh tyres and impressively climbed his way back up to 4th place in a race that featured mandatory tyre changes and challenging heat conditions. Russell shared his thoughts, saying, "Lewis and I will be fine. We've got a huge respect for each other. Nothing was intentional from either side." Despite the various challenges that unfolded during the race, newly crowned world champion Max Verstappen cruised to a comfortable victory at the Qatar Grand Prix. Verstappen, who had secured his 3rd consecutive driver's title during Saturday's sprint event at the Losail International Circuit, adeptly managed the unique tyre regulations implemented for the race due to safety concerns. He maintained his pole position and secured the win. Verstappen's teammate Sergio Perez ended yet another challenging weekend by securing the final point in 10th place. This result allowed him to widen his lead over Hamilton in their battle for 2nd place in the drivers' standings. Currently, Verstappen holds a commanding 209-point lead at the top of the championship. Verstappen's impressive 14th victory of the season puts him just 1 win away from matching his record of 15 wins from the previous year, with 5 more races left in the season. Furthermore, Red Bull, who had already secured the Constructors' Championship in the previous race in Japan, have now triumphed in 16 out of the 17 Grand Prix this season. Christian Horner has openly acknowledged that Red Bull's Formula One title victory in 2023 with Max Verstappen has eclipsed the team's achievements from a decade ago with Sebastian Vettel. Max Verstappen has now joined an exclusive club, becoming only the 2nd driver in history to clinch all of his first 3 titles in consecutive seasons. The first driver to achieve this remarkable feat was Sebastian Vettel, who achieved 4 consecutive triumphs with Red Bull between 2010 and 2013. Horner, who had been at the helm as the Red Bull team principal since their entry into Formula One in 2005, has had the privilege of overseeing the achievements of both Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen. He is of the opinion that the newly crowned 3-time world champion has elevated his performance to yet another level in the 2023 season. He shared this insight with Sky F1, saying, "It's been by far the most dominant title-winning season for Red Bull. And so it's come as no surprise, but to see Max join some of the great names, Jack Brabham, Ayrton Senna, Nelson Piquet, Niki Lauda, Sir Jackie Stewart, he's in that bracket now. The way he's driven this year has just been out of this world, and I think you have to take a moment to reflect. You've got to be in the moment, and everything that he's done this year has been phenomenal. I just think the whole team as well, the way they've galvanised and are working so well together, not just here, but all the unsung heroes back in the factory, across all the 22 different departments that make up our team. This is the culmination of that. I think he's the most competitive driver that I've ever met. I think the determination that he drives with, the passion, the heart, the commitment, and of course the abundance of skill that he has is up there with the very, very best and some of the greatest the sport has seen. I think that this season has just surpassed anything we've ever seen. We did a lot of winning with Sebastian, but this has taken it to yet another level, and he's only 26. I think he's still going to get better. I think he's still going to evolve, and I think he's still going to grow as a driver. So, does Max Verstappen's 3rd championship surpass anything Sebastian Vettel has done? Tell us what you think in the comments section down below. And, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.